In a land known for its scenic landscapes and warm hospitality, there lies a harsh truth that few speak of. The women of the Philippines, while living in a country that attracts millions for its charm, often face a much different reality behind closed doors. Beneath the surface of bustling cities and vibrant nightlife, many women endure struggles that remain hidden from the public eye. From economic challenges to the pressure of survival, their daily lives paint a picture far removed from the glossy tourist brochures. Stick with us as we shed light on the untold stories that often go unnoticed. The Philippines offers an incredible mix of beauty and unpredictability. Spanning more than 7,000 islands, the country is not just a geographic marvel, but a cultural mosaic of life and tradition. Its bustling population of over 111 million people carries with it centuries of rich history, vibrant customs, and a sense of community that thrives despite the natural challenges they face. What many may not realize is that behind the tranquil beaches and lush landscapes, this Southeast Asian paradise sits in one of the world's most seismically active regions. Earthquakes and tsunamis are as much a part of the landscape as the serene coastal views. Despite this, Filipinos have adapted with remarkable resilience. Their ability to weather these challenges while still holding on to a strong connection with their natural surroundings speaks to the spirit of the people. The islands themselves reflect this duality. On the one hand, you'll find crystal clear waters, perfect for swimming and snorkeling, and on the other, an unpredictable force of nature that keeps residents on high alert. It's a land where every moment can shift, and yet, its people embrace both the beauty and the risks, continuing to live in harmony with the environment that shapes their lives. In this ever-moving setting, the culture and identity of the Philippines remain vibrant and unwavering. The spirit of the islands, much like the waters surrounding them, is both serene and powerful. Life here, while filled with natural unpredictability, offers a deep appreciation for resilience, adaptability, and the enduring beauty of a place that is always in motion. As you step into the bustling streets of Manila, the first thing that strikes you is the incredible mix of cultures and ethnic groups. The Philippines stands as a vibrant blend of traditions, languages, and customs, creating a cultural landscape that few places in the world can match. The heart of this diversity lies in its people, with Filipinos of Malayo-Polynesian descent making up about 96% of the population. These people carry the legacy of their ancestors who migrated from Southeast Asia centuries ago, bringing with them rich traditions that still resonate in the everyday lives of many. Yet the story of the Philippines is not just about one group. Over the years, waves of Chinese immigrants have also shaped the country, leaving their mark on its food, trade, and architecture. You can see it in the bustling markets, where the fusion of Filipino and Chinese influences is most evident. The influence of these settlers is unmistakable, adding layers of complexity to the already rich cultural fabric of the nation. Venture further across the archipelago, and you'll come across indigenous groups like the Igorots in the mountains of Luzon or the Lumads in the southern islands. These communities, with their colorful attire and ancient customs, preserve a way of life that has remained unchanged for generations. Their presence offers a glimpse into the deep-rooted cultural diversity that makes the Philippines so unique. Each ethnic group, from the Chinese to the indigenous peoples, adds to the mosaic of Filipino life. It's this blend of influences, both historical and contemporary, that gives the Philippines its fascinating charm, offering visitors not only stunning landscapes, but a true cultural experience unlike any other. When you take a closer look into the linguistic diversity of this nation, you'll find a rich array of languages that tell the story of its history and multicultural roots. While Filipino and English are the official languages, over 170 languages thrive across the islands, reflecting centuries of influence and regional uniqueness. Filipino, also known as Tagalog, serves as the national language, widely spoken in central regions. With Austronesian roots, this language is not only expressive, but rich in regional accents and local flavors. However, the true beauty of this nation lies in the variety of languages spoken by its people. Indigenous dialects such as Ilocano, Cebuano, and Boholano are spoken in different regions, each carrying with them a distinct cultural identity. Chinese origin languages like Hokkien, and Cantonese further add to the mosaic of linguistic diversity, revealing how migration and trade have shaped the nation over the years. Each language offers its own history, unique grammatical structures, and nuances, making the country a fascinating place for those interested in linguistics and cultural preservation. Economically, the country is just as diverse. The service industry stands as the powerhouse, driving around 60% of the nation's gross domestic product. Key areas within this sector include information technology, business process outsourcing, and tourism, all of which provide significant employment opportunities and contribute to national development. The manufacturing industry, focusing on electronic equipment, textiles, chemicals, and processed foods, plays a critical role in job creation and economic growth, helping to propel the country forward. At the heart of rural life, agriculture continues to hold significance, accounting for about 10% of the GDP. Staple crops like rice, corn, and coconuts are vital not only for the economy, but also for sustaining local communities. This combination of a robust service industry, thriving manufacturing, and an essential agricultural sector showcases a diverse and growing economy. Life in the crowded alleys and narrow streets of Manila paints a raw picture of the nation's economic challenges. In these areas, prosperity feels far away, with makeshift homes lining the roads and street vendors trying to make a living. It's here that the struggle for survival is a daily reality. Despite being part of a country experiencing economic growth, many families in these communities face hardships when it comes to accessing healthcare, education, and even basic nutrition. Infrastructure gaps, especially in transportation and energy, have long hindered economic progress. While some regions thrive with modern amenities, others are left behind, unable to fully participate in the country's development. The uneven distribution of wealth only widens the gap, leaving many to navigate life in poverty, while others enjoy the benefits of economic advancement. But even within these disadvantaged areas, there is something undeniably powerful, a sense of community that provides support in the toughest of times. In these tight-knit neighborhoods, people look out for one another. The small victories of the day, like securing a hot meal or making a sale at the market, are shared and celebrated. This resilience, the ability to find joy even when faced with difficult circumstances, defines the spirit of these communities. It's a quiet reminder that, while the challenges are immense, hope continues to flicker in every corner. Yet, for the country to move forward as a whole, addressing these socio-economic issues is critical. Tackling poverty, improving infrastructure, and reducing inequality will be essential steps in ensuring that all citizens can share in the nation's progress. Until then, the struggle for many will continue, but so too will the strength of a community that refuses to be broken. Amidst the hustle of densely packed neighborhoods, life moves to a different rhythm. Small, everyday transactions power the local economy, whether it's a street vendor selling food or an artisan turning discarded materials into something valuable. In these places, wealth isn't measured in lavish possessions, but in the ability to care for family, raise children, and keep a roof over one's head. Despite the poverty, there's an undeniable dignity that the residents hold on to, a resilience that binds the community together even in the face of overwhelming challenges. Basic sanitation is a luxury many cannot afford, with trash piling up in the streets and public services nearly non-existent. Yet, even in these harsh conditions, people find ways to keep moving forward. It's a daily struggle, but there's creativity and determination in how they adapt to their circumstances, making the best of what they have. Perhaps one of the most striking reflections of this resilience is the practice of pagpag. For thousands of families, this term describes the reprocessing of food scraps discarded by restaurants. These leftovers, collected from garbage bins, are cleaned, cooked, and turned into meals that sustain entire households. It's a survival technique that shocks many, but for those who live it, it is simply a reality. The line between hunger and survival is razor thin, and pagpag is often the difference. In bustling urban centers where the gap between rich and poor is glaring, you'll find families waiting on the streets for the day's refuse from restaurants. What might seem like trash to some becomes a meal for others. This practice, while heartbreaking, showcases the incredible resilience of the Filipino people. They find value where others would see none, turning what's been discarded into something life-sustaining. In these neighborhoods, survival goes beyond just finding food. It's about navigating the complexities of daily life with hope and determination, despite the odds. The spirit of the community, born from shared hardship and mutual support, is what keeps people going, even when the path ahead is uncertain. The stark contrast between wealth and poverty in urban areas paints a vivid picture of survival for many. While some dine in luxury, others turn to practices like pagpag, a method of reclaiming discarded food. For thousands, scavenging leftovers from fast food outlets or garbage bins isn't just a choice, but a matter of survival. These food scraps, often thrown out by restaurants, are carefully collected, cleaned, and recooked to make a meal for families who have little else. It's a sobering reminder of how dire life can become for those left on the margins of society. Yet, in this grim reality, there's an undeniable lesson in resourcefulness and resilience. Even the smallest piece of food, something most would discard, becomes a vital source of sustenance. This harsh existence goes hand in hand with a broader issue: crime born out of desperation. For many who struggle with poverty, the path to criminal activity often feels like the only viable option. In neighborhoods where opportunities are scarce and dreams of prosperity seem distant, some turn to illicit activities just to survive. It's not always about the allure of crime. Sometimes, it's simply about having no other choice. Gangs preying on the vulnerable often recruit young people who feel they have no future. Promised quick money and a false sense of power, these youth are drawn into a dangerous cycle, pulled away from school and thrust into a world of violence and illegal dealings. The rapid population growth, coupled with weak social safety nets and a lack of inclusion policies, only fuels the fire. In these communities, where security is shaky and opportunities even more so, crime flourishes as a grim alternative. This vicious cycle doesn't just affect the individuals involved, it threatens the fabric of entire communities. As more and more people are pulled into the shadows, the promise of safety becomes ever more elusive. Without effective interventions, the divide between the wealthy few and the struggling many only grows wider, leaving more people to grapple with the harsh realities of survival. In the shadow of the bustling nightlife that tourists enjoy, a grim reality unfolds for thousands of women. Many are forced into the night industry, not by choice, but by necessity, driven by the crushing weight of poverty. These women, some of them very young, are trapped in a cycle where their only option to support themselves and their families is to work in environments rife with exploitation. The bright lights and lively scenes of the city mask the struggles faced by a significant portion of the female population who have been pushed into this line of work. The conditions these women endure are far from glamorous. They work in precarious and often dangerous environments, facing a host of risks, from violence to health issues. Their vulnerabilities are exploited, and they often find themselves without access to proper healthcare or psychological support. This harsh reality leaves them exposed not only to physical dangers, but also to the crushing burden of social stigma. The shame and judgment they face compound the difficulties of escaping this life, making it harder for them to find a way out. What makes this situation even more heartbreaking is the lack of alternatives. In many regions of the country, educational opportunities are scarce, and meaningful employment options for women are even scarcer. Without the chance to build a better future, many are left with no choice but to enter an industry that takes more from them than it gives. The cycle of poverty and exploitation continues, with each generation facing the same grim choices as the one before. This exploitation is not just a symptom of individual hardship, but a reflection of a broader issue. Without systemic changes that provide real opportunities for women through education, employment, and social support, the cycle will continue. It's a devastating situation that highlights the urgent need for change, both to protect these women and to address the root causes of the inequality that drives them into such vulnerable positions. Amidst all these challenges the country faces, some families in the Philippines have found a completely unlikely home: cemeteries. You heard that right? Many people in the Philippines live among the graves. Cemeteries, which typically symbolize the end of life, have become, for many, the only housing option. Among the tombstones and mausoleums, these people build their lives, improvising shelters where only the dead should be. They did not choose this life for pleasure, but out of necessity, creating an existence where prosperity simply means having a roof over their heads. Adapting to this reality is a testament to human resilience. Many of these families, rely on cleaning graves or small businesses set up among the tombstones to secure some livelihood. You can see makeshift stalls selling everything from candles to food, all to survive another day. This unusual coexistence between the living and the dead reveals another side of life in the Philippines, where prosperity is measured not by comfort, but by the ability to survive under adverse conditions. Daily life in the cemeteries is a constant exercise in adaptation and endurance, where even children learn early to live with this reality. As surreal as it may seem, living among the dead has become a solution to the lack of affordable housing. The families who inhabit these places have no choice but to turn what would be a place of eternal rest into a living environment, however precarious it may be. If you were impressed to learn that people live in cemeteries, wait until you meet the Bajau people. The Bajau, known as the Sea Gypsies, are a living example of how adaptation can thrive even under the most challenging conditions. Living in makeshift huts over the water, they have developed a unique connection with the ocean, reflected in their extraordinary diving skills. Imagine a world where the sea is both home and source of sustenance, where prosperity comes not from solid ground, but from the salty depths. This intimate connection with the ocean is what keeps the Bajau community thriving, despite the adversities they face. For generations, the Bajau have distanced themselves from the mainland, preferring the free and prosperous life at sea. Their skills are so impressive that many can remain submerged for long periods, hunting with precision and using tools they make themselves. It's not just about survival, but about living a life in harmony with the waters, finding wealth where many would see only challenges. Even surrounded by plastic waste and with minimal infrastructure, the Bajau maintain their lives apart from the rest of the world, a deliberate choice to preserve their thriving culture and way of life. However, this autonomy comes at a cost. As you navigate these waters, you will quickly notice the signs of an ongoing struggle against pollution and poverty. The huts that appear to float delicately on the sea often conceal the harsh reality of living without the basic resources many consider essential. The heartbreaking reality faced by many women in the Philippines' nightlife is one of exploitation, poverty, and survival. It's a story that often goes untold, but it needs to be heard. If you found this video eye-opening, please subscribe and like to help spread awareness about these critical issues. Also, make sure to share your thoughts and feelings about the situation in the comment section. Together, we can make a difference.